Hi everyone, welcome to Pendulum Friday here at Soulprint. This is for April 4th. It's like time is like going by so fast, I can't catch up, I swear to God. Okay, lots of questions, some really interesting ones, so let's just get cracking, shall we? Will we ever get the answer to why Pierre Polyev will not apply for a security clearance? So this is the thing, right? Right now, he is saying he doesn't want a security clearance. He's not going to apply for it. Yak, yak. If he wins the election and becomes prime minister, he automatically gets clearance. And so the question is, why will he not get it now? It makes, you feel kind of like there's something that he can't explain or justify. But let's find out, shall we? Will we ever get the answer? No. Okay. All right. At this point, energetically, thank you. At this point, energetically, he is unlikely to win the federal election here in Canada. Voting is on April 28th. Do not be surprised if within 6 months or so, there is a leadership change, and they're going to be looking for new leadership in the Conservative Party, because the reality is, politically, he took what was a 25-point lead, and he is now, the Conservatives are now sitting at like the Liberals are like 8 points ahead of the Conservatives, so the Conservatives have lost significant amount of ground. That never sits well for a party leader, right? People want them gone, so we'll see how that works out, but that's what I'm being told. Will there be any military stationed or called in for any of these protests? And will there be people hurt and arrested? Okay, so I'm presuming that we're talking about just the coast to coast to coast protests that are going on, whether it is at Tesla or town halls, etc. So will the military be called in? That is a yes, and that is a surprising answer. Um, will there be people hurt or arrested? I'm going to join the two. So it's sort of a no answer, right? So again, things like that tend to depend on people's actions or behavior, consequences, and it's not only the protesters; it's the people who are brought into police to whatever degree. I want to revisit that at some point. Maybe let's try to remember to get that same question on Pendulum Friday for next week, and let's take another look at it. Will 45 declare martial law before June? Okay, no. My question, is he going to try? Well, of course he is. Before I forget, so for those of you who maybe don't know or haven't heard, the Senate voted, I think it was 51 to 48, to block all of the tariffs that Trump has imposed on Canada. So 4 conservative senators sided with the Democrats. It now needed to go to the House for their vote. And I don't know how he did it or what fancy footwork was involved, But somehow or another, Mike Johnson has made it so that every single day, I guess, well, they're in session, is one day. So, because apparently, when something like that comes up for a vote, it can only they can only drag it out for so long. So what he did was he just made every day it's like this one. They all run into each other, and they're just being counted as one day. If you want something new to look at, let's start pressuring him. This behavior is beyond ridiculous. Like, what are you so frightened of if you were so sure that the Republicans are just so behind this guy? Why not just go ahead? Apparently, maybe he's not quite so sure. Do you think the poll numbers are real? Okay, so I don't know what polls these are. So it's the question's a little too broad. Let me see what I can do here. Generally speaking, are the poll numbers an accurate reflection of the amount of popularity and support that Trump currently has? Yeah, okay. So all of those underwater numbers, and he's losing support all over the place. As of right now, they're saying it's accurate. Let's ask this. Are the poll numbers by and large accurate for the political parties in Canada as we move towards an election? Are those polls an accurate reflection? And that is a yes. Did the Republicans keep Trump in the race to get the tax cut he promised? That's a yes, but I want to ask this question in addition to, were they motivated by fear? And that's a yes. With Senator Cory Booker's, it was 25 hours and 4 minutes. Filibuster, the beginning of the Democrats fighting harder and louder. Yeah, yeah. They're finally, slowly getting the message that they need to step up because people are not liking sort of the way they're handling things. They're being a little bit too passive. 45 recently ended the federal security detail for Dr. Fauci and made some inhumane comments about this decision. Is this another one of 45's typical grudges related to his own fragile ego? Oh, yeah, look at the force of that, yes. Have Dr. Fauci's motivation since the start of the pandemic been primarily altruistic? And that is a yes. Is 45 at all concerned about the mounting number of protests? So, on Saturday, the 5th of April, there is like a nationwide protest. It's called Hands Off. So it's going to be fascinating to see what that looks like. It at this point looks like it's going to be massive. It's something that you can do. Maybe check to see what's going on in your area. Is he concerned? No. My follow-up question: are the people around him actually giving him accurate information with regards to the protests? No. Right? So we know this, right? They only tell him what he wants to hear because otherwise he yells at them. Evidently, Laura Loomer just convinced 45 to fire 3 people in his national security staff over the objections of Mike Waltz. Is this yet another indication that 45 is unfit to serve? Yes. Will his staff, like Susie Wiles, whoever she is, stand by him over this? Yes. Listen, this is the thing. If you're in Trump's inner circle and you, for whatever reason, want to stay there, you're going to just say yes or yes or how high do you want me to jump? Are we likely to start seeing resignations from 45's advisors within the next 60 days? So that takes us to beginning of June. Okay, it looks like there's going to be some. You can see the pendulum is not whipping around. So yes, probably not a lot of them. Is it true Kamala received 10 to 12 million more votes than 45? Is that true? Excuse me. Um, is that accurate? Sorry, looking like a yes. Is Kamala still fully on board to be president? Yes. Would she take the job if it was offered to her? I don't know who would offer that to her, but that's um, she would. I continue to follow her. I guess it's on YouTube, and she continues to put out sort of very encouraging videos. She put one out about the success of the election for the judge in Wisconsin. So she's still very involved. That's what I can say. All right, this is interesting. If it's true that the industrial complex has reverse engineered technology from non-human sources, will those involved be of any service to our country with the mission of not only saving democracy, but moving towards an improved quality of life for Americans and humanity? Okay, so reverse engineering, right? And people use this for all kinds of things. It's basically when you say, this is my goal, and then you start working backwards to figure out the steps and stages that you need to go through to achieve the goal. When you are using it for, industry, it's used to it's used for all. I actually looked it up. It's used for all kinds of things, like to recreate, for example, a automotive part that is no longer being manufactured. They can reverse engineer the part and figure out how it was created. Okay, now the question is tricky, however, because the question is, are they using or have they received that reverse engineering technology from non-human sources? Yes. I'm going to leave it up to everybody to figure out what they think those sources are. And will they be involved will they be, will those involved, be of any service to our country of not only saving democracy, but moving towards an improved quality of life? I'm not getting an answer, and what I'm hearing or getting is that they have, whoever they are, have put that information and that knowledge out there. And as of right now, it appears that they're just waiting, watching to see how it gets used and who's using it and for what purpose. Um, you know, again, if we want to save the country, our world, civilization, democracy, it's up to us. There is not somebody riding in on a white, stallion to save us. We need to save ourselves in all of these instances. For those of you who are perhaps newer to my channel, every once in a while, I talk about this letter that I remember reading when I was very young, in Ann Landers' column. So all of you of a certain age are going to know who Ann Landers was, right? I mean, she had like a column in the newspapers, and people were always forever asking her for advice. And I remember reading this. It's been many, many decades, so I'm paraphrasing loosely. These two people were having a conversation, and one of them said to the other, when I die, I want to find out why all of the terrible things that go on the planet, whether it's people starving or illness or wars, abuse, why God allows them to go on. He said, but I'm scared to ask. And the other guy said, why is that? And he said, because I'm very afraid the answer would be, well, why did you? Yeah. The Simpsons show has made some predictions on the show that have come true. Is one of their writers psychic? Okay, if you can hear screaming, I don't know what Atlas did, but he's in trouble. Yeah, and honestly, it's more than one. And sometimes they just get lucky. Sometimes it's a matter of, I don't know, reading the tea leaves, right? Will all the destruction that 45 and Leon have done to our government be repaired by 2028? Talking the midterms then, right? No, wait a minute. 24 midterms are in 25, 6, 7. Will it be corrected by then? No. Will corrections have been started? Yes. Again, if you saw my last video where I was using the analogy of a closet that needs to get cleaned out, that's the beginning stages of where the government is right now. And it will be a process. Is Hegseth actually getting professional help with his alcoholism? All right. This is for entertainment purposes only. And all comments like that are allegedly. is Hegseth getting professional help with his alleged alcoholism? Yes. And if so, is he having a big struggle with it? That looks like a yes. You gotta you gotta wonder how much pressure and stress he is under. And you know what? I think it would be safe to say that this is probably the most stressed and the most pressure he's probably ever been in his whole life. So if alcohol was something he turned to before to cope, it makes sort of sense that it would be a very difficult process. And frankly, for anybody, who's trying to um, deal with any sort of addiction at a point in time in their life where crazy is the nicest thing that can be said about what they're dealing with in their life, right? Okay, did Musk insert himself into 45's campaign? Or was it kind of planned along with the support of the Heritage Foundation Project 25? Okay. Okay. Did Musk sort of independently insert himself into 45's campaign? Okay, yes. Let me rephrase the rest of the question. Was that because on a basic level he really was in alignment with the principles and ideas of the Heritage Foundation and Project 25? Yes. Did it have to do with his feelings that 45 would be easily manipulated and that there would be contracts that would be beneficial for EM? And that's a yes. So, I saw an outtake of a clip, and I honestly think it came from Fox. But he was on a rant about, how his business is losing money. And he literally said with a straight face, it's a really evil thing when somebody just, willingly interferes with your livelihood. Truly, how he did not get struck down by lightning, I swear I do not know. But that's kind of what you're dealing with, right? If it's happening to everybody else, it's fine. If it happens to me, it's a disaster. Okay, so are the Project 25 creators been pleased with the Doge results? No. Is Project 25 pleased with the tariff debacle? No. So listen, this is the thing. We know that Project 25, this idea, these attitudes, these philosophies have been around for like a really, really, really long time. Uh, certainly when you're looking at the Heritage Foundation, I mean, it's been around for a really long time. These are not new ideas, new attitudes, or new beliefs. The problem is that the shifts and the changes have been done so recklessly, so blatantly, with so much callous cruelty. If you think about it, like look at it this way. These ideas have been around for a really, really, really long time. But unless you traveled within those tight Republican upper echelon circles, you probably were not all that aware of this project, this idea, this vision that they wanted to implement. So you go from working very quietly behind the scenes and putting into place the things that you need to create a successful movement forward. And then you put somebody in office, and between 45 and EM, I mean, they are like, it's so blatant, it's so obvious. And so what should have been done more quietly, more strategically, has not been. And so they don't like this kind of attention being drawn to what's been going on. They don't like the connection, right? That the behavior that is now being exhibited and people are suffering from is becoming so well known and so ridiculed. Okay. And I think the last question, hold on here, is, will Katie Porter be the next governor of California? No. Now, listen, I think Katie Porter is amazing. But you don't, in my opinion, you don't get to be a one-term rep, House rep, and then push yourself basically into a Senate race. Schiff has been waiting for that Dianne Feinstein to get the hell off of that seat for a really long time. And many people will say he earned it. You know, he worked very hard on the impeachment, et cetera, et cetera. His star was rising. People were aware of him and knew him. And he was, you know, he had a good, strong reputation. He tried to jump too fast. If she had slowed down, stayed in the House, and continued allowing her star to rise, like AOC, for example, Jasmine Crockett, although I think she's relatively new, regardless. What happened was that she just jumped too fast. And so she's created a resistance, maybe not so much with the people, but certainly with, I guess I want to say, like more mainstream Democrats and some powerful Democrats. And I think the governorship is the same kind of thing. It is a very big jump. I'm not saying she's not qualified. I'm not saying she couldn't do the job. I'm saying, you know, there's a reason why that expression, you have to pay your dues, is an expression. She's a brilliant, brilliant woman. And hopefully there will be a way for her to re-enter politics and continue to bring that intelligence and savvy into the political arena, particularly when it has to do with money, finances, that kind of thing. But as of right now, energetically, it's not looking great for her becoming governor. Hopefully, maybe it's wrong, and hopefully, by time, I don't know when the next governorship election is in California. But I guess we'll see. Time will tell. Okay. Thank you very, very much for being here. Your support is amazing. The donors, thank you so very, very much. It's that kind of support is greatly appreciated. It humbles me every time. So I thank you for that. To the rest of you at the weekend, do something nice for yourself and someone else if you can, and you are able to join the hands-off protests. Consider it. And until next time, take care and be well. Bye for now.